Hey, welcome back once again, and here in this video I'm just going to explain you people about the function calling or passing the argument to the function. And there are the two way of passing the argument to the function, that is call by value and call by reference. So up to this time we have called the function and many time in our previous programs, and the concept used for calling the function and passing the argument to the function was call by value. So here we have to try to understand what basically is call by value and call by reference. So let's try to understand first of all. So we here see that there are the two methods to pass the data into the function in C language. So when we call a function and we have to pass the argument to that function, there are the two methods for passing the argument to the function. One method is call by value and another one is call by reference. So we will try to understand each of them by one. So first we will start with the call by value. So call by value, in call by value method, the value of actual parameter is copied into the formal parameter. In other words, we can say that the value of the variable is used in the function call in the call by methods. So when we call the function and call by value, the value of the function of parameters, or we can say the value of the variable is passed to the function. So in call by value method, we cannot modify the value of actual parameter by the formal parameters. So here we have to consider one more point here, that is here we have to understand basically what are the actual parameter and the formal parameters. So actual parameters are the parameters that are passed to the function or passed to the function, whereas the formal parameter are the function parameter that is declared while declaring the function. So when we define a function, and in that while defining the function, we define the argument list of the function. So that argument list of the function while defining the function are called as the formal parameter of the function. And when we call the function and we pass the value of the variable, or that variables are called as the actual parameter. So that is the basic difference between the actual parameter and the formal parameters. So in call by value, the different memory is allocated for actual and formal parameters, since the value of actual parameter is copied into the formal parameter. So this point has to be keep remember, and this is important point that you have to remember, that the actual the different memory address is allocated for actual parameter and the formal parameter. And call by value, when we pass the argument to the function using call by value concept, the actual parameter is copied into the formal parameter. Now the actual parameter is the argument which is used in the function call, whereas the formal parameter is the argument which is used in the function definition. So here you have to keep this thing in your mind. So when we define the function, we define its argument list, like how many arguments this function will take. So that argument list of the function are the parameter, they are called as the formal parameter of that function. Whereas when we call that function, we pass that as a list of arguments, and that list of arguments that we pass while calling the function are called as the actual parameter. So now here we have to try to understand the call by reference. So in call by reference, the address of the variable is passed into the function called as the actual parameter. So here the value is not passed to the function. Here call by reference, we have to pass the address of the variable instead of passing the value of the variable. The value of actual parameter can be modified by changing the formal parameter, since the address of the actual parameter is passed. So what we can show that the value of actual parameter can be, here we can modify the value of actual parameter with the formal parameter as we pass the address of the actual parameter over there. So whereas in the case of call by reference, we cannot modify the value of actual parameter using the formal parameter. So this is the basic difference once more over here. And in call by reference, the memory allocation is similar for both formal parameters and actual parameters. So this is again the important point that you have to keep remember. In call by reference, the memory allocation is similar for both the formal parameter and the actual parameter, whereas in the call by value, the memory allocation is different for the formal parameter and different for the actual parameters. So all the operations on the function are performed on the value stored at the address of the actual parameter, and the modified value gets stored at the same address there. So whatever the operation that we will perform on the function using the formal parameter, that is not performed on the value stored parameters, whereas the actual modification is done on the address of the actual parameter. So that is the basic difference between the call by value and the call by reference. So now let's jump to our integrated development environment for more better understanding of call by reference and call by value. So we are into our integrated development environment, and I have written certain line over here. Here I am showing you people the demo. So here I write demo of function by call by value and call by reference. So in a single program here, we will write a program in which we will first call the or pass the argument to the function by call by value, and simultaneously we will call it by reference. So we will try to understand the difference between between call by value and the call by reference. So what I am doing, I'm writing a small program to make better understanding of this. So here I write a function without any return type, so I'm writing void, and the name to this function I am giving as a change. So the name of the function here is change, and this function will take one argument, and that is of n, that is integer type. And what we'll do in this function, what I'm declaring this function, and I'm also writing the body of this function here. So what basically this function will change the value of the argument that will be passed to this function. So here you have to understand the concept over here. In the previous case we were talking about the formal parameters and the actual parameter. So this function will having the when we declare this function and we declare this argument list, so this is basically is called the formal parameter of this function. So here int n, this is basically is called the formal parameter of this function. So what we are doing in this function, I'm writing a line here in this function, that is printf, and here I write a message of the user, say before adding value inside the function, number is equal to, and this is in integer format, so %d, and here I use backslash n escape sequence, and here I write the value reference of the variable whose value I would like to display, and at the end I have to put the semicolon here. Now what I am writing here, that n is equal to n plus say 100. So what I'm doing, whatever the argument that will be passed to this function, that value of the variable will be incremented by 100. So and that will be stored in this variable num n, and I'm again writing printf function. So I'm copy this line from here to here, and here I press enter and control B to print this line, and printf, and here I write the value as say after. after adding the value inside the function, and same here I'm displaying. So what I'm doing, I'm declaring a function that will return nothing, and the name of the function is change, and that function will take the argument, a single integer type argument, and what it will do, it will increase the value of this by 100. Now I'm going to write a main function. So for that I'm writing void main, and here I write the body of the function. So I'm declaring a variable int x, and to do that I'm initializing it equal to say 50. So I have declared a variable of type int, and to that I have initialized equal to 50. So here I write a message printf, and before function call value of x, that is variable, is equal to, so this has to be displayed in the percentage d, that is integer format, and then I have to display the value of variable x, and here we put the semicolon. Now I'm calling the function, and so I'm writing the name of this function change. So I have called this function change over here, and to this I'm passing the value of x. So here you see, so here if we see this int n, this here int n is basically is called as the formal parameter of the change function, whereas is this x is called as the actual parameter to this function. So this is the difference between the formal parameters and the actual parameters. So the formal parameter here is the n, whereas the x is the actual parameter. So actual x is a actual variable whose value is passed to this function, and this value will be assigned to the variable n. So here n is the formal parameter of this function, whereas x is the actual value stored in the memory, that is having value that is equal to 50. So here I write one more line. So I'm going to copy this here using Control C, and after that I'm writing this using Control V, and here I write a message after function call the value of x is okay. So that is written over here. Now we have to save the program. So have to choose C source file, and to this I'm giving the name say as C8AL, whatever the name you want to give, you can give it to here, and click on the save button. Now go to execute menu, choose compile and run. Now look at this function call value of x. So here I have to make small modification over here. What I do, I write \n over here to make it more readable in the console shell. So \n here again, and make save to changes. Go to execute menu, choose compile and run. Now it's showing me before function call the value of x is equal to 50, as we have done over here. So we have declared a variable x, and to that we have initialized the value equal to 50. So when before calling the function the value of x is equal to 50, before adding value inside the function number the value is equal to 50, and after adding the value inside the function the value is equal to 150. Here you can see, and after function call the value of x is equal to 50. So here you have to try to understand the program. Now the execution of the program will start from the main. So first it will do what it will do, it will declare a variable x, and to that it will initialize the value equal to 50. Now here we have written the printf function. So what will it do, it will display the message before function call the value of x is equal to 50. It has been done. Now after that we have called the function change. Now this function has been called over here. So value of the x is passed over here. So this is called as the call by value. So when we pass this argument x to this is called as the call by value. So the value of the variable x is passed to this function, and this value will be assigned to the variable n. So here n is the formal parameter, whereas the x is the actual parameter. Now here we have written, now the control will jump from this line. After this line, the control will we have called this function, so control will jump to this line over here, and it will display a message. Before adding value inside the function, number is equal to 50, because this operation is done after this line, so it will display the value. Before adding value inside the function, the number is equal to 50. Now what we have done, now we have increment the value of n. So value of n right now is 50, and that has been incremented by 100, so this value become 150. So it is saying me that after adding the value inside the function, the number is equal to 150. So that is done. All the job is done by the change function. Now the control will come back to the main function, and after that it will display me a line. After function call, the value of x is equal to 50. Now as we see that the different address location are used for in call by value, so it has not affected the value of this x, as here in this case this value has been incremented by 100. But here it is showing me again after this function, even that case it is showing me that the value of x is equal to 50, as we have already done in our previous slides, that in call by value, the address of these actual parameter and the formal parameter are different. So that's why it's showing me the value as over here as 50. So now make this call using the reference. So here we are going to call making small changes in this program and try to understand the things what happens when we call or pass the argument to this function using call by reference. So let's make small changes here in this program. So what I do, I write it here as a asterisk. Now we have to understand this asterisk, why we have written asterisk over here. Now here we have to use asterisk here, and here again we have to use asterisk symbol, and here we have to use %x. Okay, now save your changes, go to execute menu and choose compile and run. Now here you see there is no one more things that we need to do, small changes here. Here we have to use asterisk here, and now save your changes, go to execute menu, choose compile and run. Now look at this, here you see the difference. You have to look at this. Now here what it has done, before function call, the value of x is equal to 50. Before adding value inside the function, the number is equal to 50, and after adding the value inside the function, the number is equal to 150, and after function call, the value of x is equal to 150. As in our previous case, if we see over there, here it was showing the value as 50 because of the reason here what we have done, we have used the special concept over here, that is the pointer. Basically is a pointer is one kind of the variable that doesn't contain any value but contain the address of the another variable. So pointer, this here n is variable. So what exactly the pointer at, that we will learn in the coming sessions or coming next chapters. But here you simply have to try to understand the asterisk symbol and the name here as given as n. So whenever we declare a variable with asterisk symbol, that is called as the pointer, not the variable. And a pointer is a special variable that doesn't contain the value but contain the address of the variable. So here is, you have to understand, and according to that we have done over here. So what we have done here, we have used the special symbol. If you see here, we have used the %. So as in the previous video, we have understand there that this % is called as the address operator. So what we have done, we have here actually to this function we have passed the address of the variable x, not its value 50. So we have passed the value of address of the variable x. Now this address will be assigned to the variable n. Okay, so this time not 50 value will be assigned to the variable n, but the address of the memory. So x is the variable that having some address in the memory, and that address is assigned to this time in to the variable n. Now here we are writing n is equal to n plus 100. So it means we are doing the operation not on the value of this x, but on the address of this x. So what it will do, it will change the value of this variable x to, or increment it by 100, and this operation is actually done to the address of x. Okay, so when this operation is done to the address of the x, so the value of the x will become 150. Okay, so value of this will become 150. So that's why it's displaying me value over here as 150. As in previous case, they have the different, the actual parameter and the formula parameter have the different address in the memory. So that's why it was showing me 50 in the previous case, while we are using the call by value reference, call by, when we are passing the argument by call by value. Now here we are using call by reference, in which we are not passing the value, but here we are passing the address of the variable here, that is x. So whatever the operation is performed over here, that is performed not to the value of x, but basically it done to the address of the x. So this time the value of this here n will doesn't have any value, but it is having the address of the variable x. So here the increment is done by the 100 to the value of x, that is done to the actual and it is stored in the x. So x, so here n and x having the same address. Okay, so that is to be understand in the call by reference. So that's why it's showing me the result that after function call, the value of x is equal to 150, whereas in the previous case call by value have the different address in the memory. So that's why it was showing here 150, but here x is equal to 50. So that is the basic difference between call by value and call by